Happy Friday. Welcome to another live edition here on Wolverines Daily. Michigan isn't waiting for fall. They're building it right now. From Kyle Whittingham setting the tone to rising transfer rankings to major recruiting battles, Michigan football is making moves. And what happens this summer? It changes everything. Let's dive in. As the calendar flips to May, most teams hit a slowdown because not this one, but because Kyle Whittingham made it clear this summer better be nothing but football for Michigan. The message is pretty clear. This is where your season gets built. Spring ball laid the foundation, discipline, structure, physicality. You heard it from the players. You saw it on the field. That's part of it. But now comes the real test because in May, the coaches step back. There's no mandatory practices. There's no constant supervision. Everything becomes player driven. And that's exactly how Coach Whittingham wants it. He's putting ownership on this team, player run workouts, player accountability, player leadership, because if this team is going to go far and going to be what they expect come fall, it can't come from the coaches. It has to come from within. Now, June 1st, that's when things ramp back up with strength coach Doug Eliza leading an 8-week conditioning cycle. And Whittingham didn't hesitate. He called him one of the best strength coaches in the entire country because this just isn't about getting stronger. It's about building mental toughness, work ethic, identity. And that's what this program is trying to become known for. But here's the other piece. It's chemistry. When guys stay over the summer at school, they work out together, they train together, they do everything together, they eat, they socialize. It builds a foundation. It builds chemistry. In today's college football world, rosters flip fast. New faces transfer. Young players step in. And Coach Whittingham knows if this team doesn't come together this summer, it won't matter how talented this group will be, but leadership has to take over. So guys like Jordan Marshall, Bryce Underwood, Rod Moore, Trey Pierce, they've been tasked with setting the tone. And the message to them is really, really simple. Lead. There's no games in May, but this is where the season is decided, and how Michigan handles this quiet stretch is going to tell everything we need to know about this team heading into fall camp. The transfer portal class might not have a ton of big names or made a ton of noise early, but now it's starting to get the respect it deserves. ESPN just re-ranked Michigan's class number 10 in the country, which is a big jump. It tells you something important. The class isn't just flashy, it's functional. And that's exactly how Kyle Whittingham has built this roster. A lot of these guys followed him from Utah, and that matters. 9 out of 10 times when coaches transfer and they go to different schools, a lot of the roster comes with them because of the familiarity, because of the chemistry. And that's what happened with Kyle Whittingham, and this staff came to Michigan. Let's start with a headliner. John Henry Daly is your plug-and-play guy. Defensive end, physical, disruptive, plays with an edge. He's the type of player that can change a game and make an impact immediately and stabilize that front. And then you look at the rest of this class, it's about filling needs. You got corner, you got Smith Snowden, who brings experience. He's a multi-year starter. Receiver Jamie Frentz, Celeste Moa brings upside, explosiveness to that receiving core. We saw flashes of it during the springtime. And then at quarterback, of course, we already know it's going to come down to what Bryce Underwood can do. But quietly, we saw in the spring, Tommy Carr stepped in and made a huge impact during the spring. He made some noise, but then Braden Fowler Nicolosi will be coming in the springtime. He'll be competing with Tommy Carr, but Tommy Carr will have the advantage because he was there all spring. Now, this portal class wasn't about winning the headlines. It was about building a roster, filling gaps, adding experience, and then creating competition. And I firmly believe that that's why this class is rising, because it makes Michigan that much better. And heading into this season, that might be a whole lot more that this class is going to surprise us, because I think it's one of the best classes in the entire country. Let's jump into this. Michigan recruiting is starting to pick up real momentum. And I think it starts at the wide receiver. Michigan has been all over 2027, four-star wideout, Damani Warren, and right now they're in a really good spot. I've talked a lot about the 2027 class, and he does significantly. Warren makes it really clear. And I quote, Michigan stands extremely high on my list. That's exactly what you want to hear if you're a Michigan fan. He's 6'4", 210, big, physical receiver with real upside. And the connection here, it's already been built. Wide receivers coach Micah Simon has history with him from Utah. Relationship has carried over, and I think it's really starting to pay off. And then you add in comfort with the city, the program, what Whittingham is building. Now you're talking about a legit contender. And here's something to watch. Michigan has also offered quarterback Thaddeus Thatcher, who I've talked about on this podcast, and I think that matters because when you're recruiting a receiver who's played with a quarterback for years, chemistry is a factor, and Warren even said it himself. Playing together at the next level would be a big deal for him, and I think that's a real big selling point for Michigan. Now, at tight end, they're already targeting elite 2028 prospect Jack McNamara, another big physical playmaker on the edge, consistently has developed. And on the defensive side, keep an eye on edge rusher George Parkinson, who's already a top 100 talent, already building relationships as well. The coaches have been impressed with them. He's been impressed with the staff, the players, not just the facilities, but how the coaches have been operating. And that right now seems to be a theme. So Michigan's positioning itself early. Strong relationships, smart recruiting, building connections that go beyond football. And when you start hearing recruits say they stand very high on my list, that's how classes start coming together. And Michigan continues to build momentum right there in the middle of it with all the big programs in the country. And last but not least, I want to talk about a tight end that should be on everybody's radar. It's a name to know, and it's Detroit native Anthony Cartwright, one of the top tight ends in that 2027 class, has officially narrowed it down to LSU, Oregon, Miami, and then in-state competition at Michigan State and Michigan. It's a full-out recruiting war going on right now for him. He's a big kid, 6'4", 235. He's not just another tight end. I think he's a matchup problem with the big frame, big hands. He's physical enough to play in the run game. He can line up out wide. He can line up down on the line of scrimmage. And this type of player can change the game in a hurry. I think he fits Michigan's offense to a T. Physical football, yes, but he's also very versatile. With Michigan's offense, they'll throw multiple looks out there. They'll look for the mismatches. And I think Cartwright checks every box. But I think here's where it gets interesting. LSU has already made a strong move. They got him on campus early. They got him there first on an official visit. Made a huge impression. I think that matters. The early momentum in recruiting always matters. But Michigan has something that LSU doesn't. Home, in-state ties, familiarity, and comfort. And when you're battling for from a kid out of Detroit, that's always going to play a big-time role in recruiting if you can keep a kid like him home in the state of Michigan and getting him back on campus. Because this isn't about just landing a recruit. It's about landing a cornerstone, a guy who can be the vocal point of this offense for years to come. So keep an eye out on the name. Anthony Cartwright is a name to watch. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode of Wolverines Daily. Today, we are 128 days away from kickoff. Every day matters. We're getting one step closer, more recruiting, more breakdowns, more Michigan football each and every single day. I hope everybody has a great weekend. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. I'm Coach Little C, and remember, stay locked in and go blue.